Yeah. You know what it is. Another episode of the Miller Experience Overtime. I'm your host, this Caliber. We got my boy Victor and my man Soul Toucher. What's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
What's good?
Now,
What's good?
typical cowboy fashion, Craig always late to the party. You know that's how they roll, right? We do have a special guest today. Hey, before I introduce my special guest, I just want to thank everybody for subscribing to the podcast. We're currently at 735 subs. Hey guys, I told you about January. We're trying to get to 1,000, so thank you. Keep liking, subscribing to the channel. Also, for the Train to All University, we got the cheap day hoodies coming out starting next week. It's getting cold out there, guys. So get your fresh hoodie. Cheap day, baby. You know you all cheating this year, so it is what it is. So we might rock the hoodie, right? All right, so we have a special guest. What's up, Craig? What's up, Cowboy? How you doing? Before you make it to the party. What's up, brother?
What's good?
So we got a special guest today. My cousin Darrell, Pastor Darrell James. Darrell saw the episode in reference a couple of weeks ago after the election. We did an episode talking about the election and immigration came up in reference to Trump. We really didn't see the big deal with the issues because certain things that immigrants will do that we won't do. So I guess we didn't see the big issue of it. But Darrell, my cousin, hit me up. He want to put us on some game with some facts. So that's what we're here for today. Nice, simple debate. You know how we are, guys. We ain't in our feelings. We always agree to disagree. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome Pastor Darrell James. What up, James?
Hey, what's up, fellas? What's up, fellas?
Welcome.
Hey, listen, let's just do the. I'm launching my podcast called The God Perspective in the beginning of the year. I'm already on TikTok, so I do a lot of debate, a lot of apologetics and things like that nature. So I love this space, love what you guys doing. I'm getting ready to jump on YouTube. This is my first ability launching YouTube, but I love social media. I think it's a game changer for everybody. I think it provides a platform for all of us to be able to have a voice. That's what I think is important. Well, I think it's a lot of garbage on social media. I think that what it does, it levels the playing field because we live in a space where big media companies control the landscape and control the narrative, and media is nothing but propaganda, and so you can get hooked into propaganda and like what's that sister name? The girl used to talk about, Kelly used to talk about alternative facts. That's the nature of alternative facts. It's because propaganda will present a set of facts that's skewed by opinion, and then people get locked into whatever media outlets they're kind of married to, and those opinions become facts over time because ideology-wise, that's the way people see things. So just jumping into the conversation. So big shout out to Ernest Excalibur. I was on your shop talk, I think one time before, and
2 years ago,
yeah. I hope not to be a stranger. I hope not to be a stranger, to be a voice in this paradigm, and what you guys will make happen. I'm gonna be selective because I ain't getting ratchet. I'm not gonna go ratchet. I mean, I go ratchet, but it's gonna have to be behind closed doors. Y'all ain't gonna be able to. I'm gonna put that out there right now. I can do shop talk, but I ain't gonna be public with it. But in any event, yeah, I saw when you guys were talking about immigration. I think Craig, you had said something that kind of like stirred me a little bit, and when you were talking about some things in there, and I can't remember what it was, but I called my cousin because one of the things I try to make sure that we do right now, especially after election, is that it's important. This is the key thing that's important. It's important that when we take a position, that we research that position, research the facts, and get the data to kind of support the things that we need to that we're espousing. Because to be honest with you, most Black people aren't hardliners. We really aren't hardliners, and especially most brothers aren't hardliners. But a lot of times our information could be skewed, and so that was one of the things that that I was hearing before, where like some of the immigration things that Kamala and whether it's Kamala, whether it's Biden, or whether it's the Democratic machine, which I believe it is, put forth an agenda to get enough immigrants in the country, because a part of that, from my now this is my opinion, because I don't have any facts stating this. So I'm gonna state what facts versus opinion. My opinion is that when you look at the landscape right now, the Democratic Party needs a way in the future to ensure to lock in its agenda. And it has always been not the Democratic Party, but the subset of the Democratic Party, which is the liberals, that have been kind of, introducing their ideology, their spin, whether it be dealing with LGBTQ, whether it be dealing with pronouns, whether it be dealing with any other kind of what we call left-wingedness, because most African Americans kind of stay in the center. We're kind of in the center traditionally and number-wise. So when I heard something about immigration, you guys talking about immigration before, and I just wanted to jump on that some of the things that were being said with respect to the Biden administration and the number of people coming in, just opposed to some of the other administrations, was really off center. It was really off center because this administration did a horrible job with the actual border. Now, my opinion on the border has nothing to do with the border crisis itself. And the border crisis itself was stemming into a lot of the other areas like New York City and some of the metropolitan areas where people were being placed at. And so without really understanding the full dynamics of what was happening, I was hearing commentary coming from this camp, not just, well, this Ernie's camp, so I'm gonna just call it like it is, so you can speak to it too. It's I heard commentary coming from this camp that really wasn't really addressing the influx of immigrants that were in areas that was just not like left New York City in the current turmoil in the shape that it's in today. And so, I just want to kind of park it there and kind of jump into that conversation, because there were some things that were said with respect to that the numbers that were being reported were off, and that's just not true. Those numbers, as far as the immigration policy, that whether it was intentional or unintentional, the numbers are the numbers. They are what they are, and I'm not getting into interpreting the numbers. I'm just saying that it was a crisis. It was a serious crisis.
Okay.
Fred, what you got?
With due respect to the numbers, especially with the New York City number influx this year, what do you think that influx came from?
Well, I think there was a transport mechanism used to deliver people to those particular areas and regions, in which the Republican the Republican states said, "Hey, look, you want them, so we're gonna park them in your backyard, and we're gonna put them there because we're not going to subject our states to withholding that." And so those other states like New York City and some of the other places became strongholds or drop-off points for where they would deliver those immigrants. I mean, those immigrants didn't just kind of create this migration path straight to New York City.
And do you think it was legal for them to caravan them to these other states?
I guess I guess, Craig, to be honest with you, I don't know whether it was legal or not, and I'm not really kind of getting into the legalities of it. It's like sometimes when you could have a problem, and I think the problem was one of Democrats always, and I don't think it was a Democratic policy. Let me just make sure I'm say that. I don't think that's Democrats. I believe there's a subset of the Democratic Party that's focused on liberalism. And liberalism has a way of kind of repackaging issues as everybody's issue under the Democratic Party, because they have an ultimate agenda anyway. So whether it be, like I said, LGBT, and I don't want to get off topic, whether it be LGBT, whether it be gay rights or pride or any other movements like that, all of those movements start as leftist movements underneath the Democratic umbrella. And that's why you get a lot of people today fighting the fact that, hey, okay, well, what happened to African Americans? It's like, you know, all of our issues get pushed to the side. All of our issues get pushed to the side. Asians got right. They got a crime bill, but there's no still African American crime bill. And so I think that the liberal movement is really what caused the loss in the election. And I think that the Democratic Party got left whole in the bag. And now the Democrats got to explain all of the stuff on television right now, everything that's going on, even Biden's most recent swearing that he wasn't going to pardon his son, now pardons his son. And I think that because I think that the infrastructure says Democratic, but I don't believe it's Democratic, because I was hardcore Democratic for years. And some of the stuff that I see coming up into the Democratic Party, to the point where I stopped watching shows like MSNBC. And when did Trump win? Because I didn't vote for Trump in the first election at all. I hated him.
2016.
2016. Yeah, so I stopped watching when he became the president. And I'm gonna tell you why I stopped watching the news. I started watching MSNBC because I got sick. I got so much hate and bile in me personally. I hated that man so much that I ain't never had so much hate in me. And a lot of it was because I'm telling you, I was a Rachel Maddow, R.B. Morrow. I was the whole crew, Lawrence O'Donnell. I was a whole 24/7, 7 days a week, as much as I possibly can. I was consuming and digesting that information and that content. But it kind of like made me sick internally, where I just had this particular point after a year, I had to actually dial out because of how I was feeling. I was disgusted every time. And I was disgusted with Trump. I mean, it wasn't like I was happy with him, but all of a sudden I found myself feeling hatred inside myself and my person, whatever the case may be. And I just had to dial out. But then I started watching other news like BBC, the British news, watching the other outlets, and start seeing those other worldviews and perspectives and about news. And then I started, after about a year, I started watching the news again, but I started watching it with a different mind, to kind of use it as okay, well, let me see what they're saying over here. Let me see what they're saying over here. I wasn't just consuming it. So I know I'm backtrack. I know I'm dovetailing into something else, but the point that I wanted to make was that the stuff that I was hearing that you were saying specifically, I think that was kind of like a part of the narrative of the Democratic Party. You know, and I ain't trying to throw shade or not. Well, I guess I am to a certain extent. It's not intentional, it's not personal, but it was really to the point of like, yo, look, this is not, you know, that's not the truth. These guys ran up those numbers. Now, for what reason they did, we can debate about it. We can debate about the intent. We can debate about, but they ran up those numbers.
I believe, and you know, this is my personal opinion. I believe that folks were out to make others look bad. Now, with regards to sending these people to other states, knowing they didn't have a place to stay, to me, that was inhumane. You understand? It was inhumane. You know what these people were running from, first and foremost. And I believe that instead of building walls, we should build bridges. And that bridge should be in a sense that we put something together that works. But when you have one side saying, all right, let's try to put something together that works, but you have another side that's saying, you know what, we really don't want to do that because we don't want to make y'all look good. You understand? So from that regard, it's hard to say that you want to believe in what one party says over another. Because if one is saying, let's sit at the table and let's make this happen, and the other is saying, no, we don't want to do that because we don't want to make you look good. Well, I tend to lean towards one side to saying, let's do something. Let's do this right. You understand? And however that may look, I want to lean towards the side to say, let's try to make this right.
I hear what you're saying, but okay, but look at this perspective. Let's just say you got a house. I don't know your home situation. You got a house. And, you know, you got 3 kids in your home, 4 kids in your home. You got a home wife but your home is still in disarray. Your home's in disarray because it ain't really fully in order. You know, your kids are teenagers, they're kind of acting out. You know, your daughter's someplace, the relationships, and as a father, you realize with your wife, you sit down, hey, listen, we got to get better control of what's here. You got to get better policing of what's here. We got to get control. But at the same time, somebody's leaning on your wife because your wife has a soft heart about, you know, bringing some other kids in, being a foster parent, you know, bringing other kids into an environment. And you know that environment that you're going to bring the kids in is already chaotic. So
right.
on one hand, you can lean on, somebody can come into your home and lean on your wife who has the compassion, who wants to see all children. And now all of a sudden, the gates of your home could be opened up to bring in more chaos when you're trying to bring order to what you have. And I think that's the first problem, is that when you see things like this whole thing that's going on with FEMA, right? So they're trying to figure out right now, yeah, FEMA wasn't using their money, but FEMA was still managing a situation having to do with the immigrants, because these people got to eat. These people got to have housing. These people got to have some place to live. But you still got people that's on the streets before these people even come in the door.
Right.
So your house is not even order. It's not even like you're even attacking. You just add more to it. But the question is, who's doing that? Who's pulling those strings, and who's going to benefit from it? Because now what you're going to do is you're going to tug on the hearts of people. You're going to tug on somebody's heart and say, come on, what you going to do with them? These people are hurting. They're starving in other countries and other things of that nature. But at the same time, it's an unmanageable situation that you're already in. Your current situation.
What about the impact they have on the economy, the workers? Now, we know that farmers bring them in. Mm-hmm. We know that hotels, cheap labor, they all rely on this type of, workers.
Mm-hmm.
With regards to that, which side is it that's promoting that?
Well, think about it. Who's financing that? Why wouldn't I want to finance cheap labor?
Right.
Why wouldn't I want, if I'm a major hotel owner, if I own an industrial farms and complexes, in the case of B, you want the cheapest labor possible.
Right.
So you want those borders open. You want them open as much as you possibly can.
And here's the thing. Donald Trump had hotels where, people who weren't, who crossed the border, who weren't here on papers, they were working there. People showed up to see this. You understand? So from that standpoint, you can hide your hands, but it's already revealed.
Oh, but here's the thing, though. He never hid his hand. As a matter of fact, from day one, even with the taxes, not paying taxes, we all sat there and heard him tell.
No. Like, what I'm saying is, when he said he hid his hand, he had those people ushered out the back door. They made the phone call to say, "Hey, let's get these people out. They can no longer be there."
Right.
So that's what I'm saying by he hit his hands. Yeah, Donald Trump. Let's be real. What he'll do is he'll appeal to the worst in people to see how it goes, and then he'll either facilitate it or he'll back away from it, depending on how people receive it. That's just who he is. He play on people's ignorance. He play on the weakness of others. He prey on that. That's what he does.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with that. I'm not a Trump fan. Believe me, that by any means, I'm not a Trump fan. But what I think he does, what I think Trump plays on, I think he plays. I think he's a narcissist, but I think he's an intelligent narcissist that plays on. I think he plays on the knowledge of what he knows is going on underneath the table, and I think he uses it to his advantage. I said, and you get people that do that. So the question for us now is this: well, if this person is telling the truth about what's going on under the table, but he's doing it for his own reasons, but I never knew what was going on under the table. I never had a clue of what was going on under the table. Now he's telling what's going on under the table. I really don't care what he's using it for. because now I got some knowledge and some information I ain't had before.
Well,
and
then,
so,
but then you do have to decipher if he's telling the truth or not.
yeah, I have to decipher. Yeah, I have to decipher whether you're right. Yeah, I got to decipher whether he's telling the truth or not. But that truth is going to be evident in the things that we see. I mean, like, so for example, like, you know, everybody, MSNBC, everybody swore up and down. I knew Joe Biden there was no way in the world no man was going to do. But that's the whole purist things that the liberals try to do. It's not even See, I think that a Democrat honestly is going to say, look, if it's my son, I'm going to pardon him. That's like any man's going to do that.
Oh yeah. Not to mention, Darrell, you have a psychopath coming in that and who pretty much preys on people who talks about him. He's going to go after them. So to shield my son, that's what
the new narrative, Craig. That's the new narrative.
No,
that's
let's be real. Trump goes after those who talk about him. We all know that. That's just who he is. He's a narcissist. He's going to go after people that discourage him, disparage him. He's just that's who he is. But why would I leave my son out there on a ledge for this man?
I got what you're saying, but here's what I'm saying. I agree with you. The Trump's going to go after, but I've never seen Trump successfully go after anybody and do anything to them.
That was then. This is now.
You can't point. Even before. Yeah, he has enemies that he goes after, but nobody did any. As a matter of fact, if anybody did any jail time, it was people like Steve Bannon and people that was in his camp. Right. So
where there's smoke, there's
so what I'm saying is this. So what I'm saying is what you're saying is a narrative because you can't substantiate it.
You can't substantiate it. And he goes after people?
Yeah, because that's the narrative we've always heard. We heard that before. You see, that's what they do. They put that in the spin cycle. They put some bleach in it, put some bleach in it, and they spin it around. And this is how we're gonna bring it back out, and then get people to, because this is called fear mongering, get people to like, oh well, yeah, this is what he's going to do. When
that's what he said he's going to do. It's not what we saying. It's what he said. Yeah, he said these things. So it's again, you got to decipher what's real.
No. What he says is this. That somebody should be put in jail, that somebody should be whatever case it be. He doesn't say that he's going to use the system to lock somebody up. He says they should be locked up. And so we infer that. If we go back and look at the videos of what he says, and this is, like I said, this is not my play. Okay, I'm gonna tell you where I'm getting my information from. I'm getting my information from other sources that replay what he says, and then I'm like saying, oh well, yeah, he didn't really say that. He didn't really say he was going to use the system. He says he makes comments that you can come to the conclusion that he would. He just makes comment. He's loose with his mouth.
Yeah, he's loose with his mouth. He said that Jack Smith should be penalized. He should be put in prison. He said judges should be killed. I mean, those are things that when you hear it off the cuff, you're thinking, okay, this is what this man is doing. Now, let's say this. We're going to go to the Capitol. And we're gonna fight like hell.
Fight like hell.
You understand what I'm saying? So when you hear him say things, Darrell, I tend to believe that he really means what the hell he's saying.
Okay, yeah. Like I said, and I don't want to listen, because I know this video will come out, and I know I'm gonna catch some heat, especially from Democrats. But let me just particularly say this. I don't believe in my heart. I'm independent now, but in my heart, I've always been a Democrat, and I believe in. I've lost faith in the Democrats because I think that it's kind of like Malcolm X or like Martin Luther King would really deal with how they would deal with the liberal movements. I mean, Malcolm warned us of liberals in the Fox House. He warned us. You can go back and Google Malcolm liberals. Martin liberals, and you'll see videos pertaining to their conversations in that. And I never really understood it. It was just some words to me, just like people go to church and they hear words and they repeat them, but they don't really know what these words mean. They don't have any life to the persons. So as far as the Democrat Party is concerned, I think the Democrat Party, most Democrats are faithful, but I think that when you tune in to information and you hear somebody that's narcissistic like that, somebody that has a way of communicating that's not clever and covert in how he speaks. He just kind of off the top, brash, whatever the case may be. It's easy to take his words and to turn them into, or to institutionalize them as though sometimes to make him a fascist, to make him this, to make him that. And so what happens is, I think a lot of America has dialed in to other outlets, news outlets, because of social media, and has been able to understand and see, hey, wait a minute, that's not necessarily true. And that's because I was able to dial in, because I was dialed in before just the MSNBC and CNN, and their narratives made sense to me because what they said equal to what I heard him saying. But the truth is, I never saw him do anything. So when you look at the 4 years in office, all of the things that they said he was going to do, he didn't do any of that.
But they held him back.
His family held him back.
Did you hear? The people that are around him, they had a group that would throw away some of the things that he talked about. In fact, when they put him in Mar-a-Lago, they actually put him at a table away from everyone because he listened to other ideas and tried to implement them. But they would hold him back. They would rip up paperwork to keep things away from him because he is impulsive, you know? So my thing is, when you hear him say things like, again, the Central Park Five, that's in him. You understand? What he said about them, that's in him. That's within him because he still says it. You understand? When the Republicans talk about, oh, we're not for DEI, when did diversity, equity, and inclusion become dirty words? When?
Well, I'll tell you when they become dirty words. If you're an entrepreneur, we don't like the entrepreneurs in the world, and I'll tell you, even most Black entrepreneurs, they don't like that whole DEI thing because we're a meritocracy. We're based on merit. So we're strong in that area of like, look, you got to earn. You're going to tell me that I got to take my company that I've invested in and I've pulled in investors, and all of a sudden now I have to meet some DEI requirements to reduce what I think is a solid, strong extra infrastructure of the best of the best. I don't want the best. I don't want a Black person against a white person. I want the best minds.
Right. We can say that, but as you know, that doesn't happen. Look at Harvard now, with what Clarence Thomas helped do, with what actually helped him get to where he is. What he did was Harvard numbers were so down now. I think they said, and I could be wrong, they say right around 2%. You know, and you know that some of our Black kids are the top of the top. They are the best of the best, but they can't get in.
What makes Harvard? But what makes Harvard the top of the top school?
What I'm saying is, those are people that's trying to get in. If they're trying to get into that school and they can't get in now, you understand? That's what they want. If that's what their dream is, to go to Harvard, and now they can't get in, you understand? And they are the best of the best. But because he threw that away, and again, I'm not one, and Ernest will tell you this, I'm not one for, because I hated when Blacks play on what is she going to do for the Blacks? Just give me a level playing field. I'll kick the door down. I'll make my way. Just level the playing field. But that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. The company, I can't say the name right now. I can't say the name. But they just put their DEI program. Now, the prior CEO said, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are diverse. So we're going to make sure that we're hiring at least 20% more African American and people of color. You understand? But what this guy that came in and did was, oh, no, we're no longer going to do that. So now you didn't say just DEI in a sense. No, we're not going to hire any more Blacks to that level. You understand what I'm saying? So you made it racist as opposed to making it where the best of the best. You understand what I'm saying? I can't say that. I can't say the
I don't agree with that.
Hey, so you want to say something? You got something you got to say?
Yeah, I don't think this is an issue where we point the finger solely at Democrats. The whole system is broken. I mean, yes, Democrats push certain agendas, certain news outlets push their agenda, more towards who they favor. However, I work in DC and I have to be around all these people, and we watch every news channel on there. So when you talk about, well, Trump didn't say he was going to do this, or he didn't do that, or he didn't do that,